Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight I have Mark on with me, and he's with me.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Oh, sorry, I've got a delay tonight. I've got a delay tonight. That's it. Sorry about that. Marx is with me tonight to inform you all of the injustice of what's gone on within his family. As you know, many of you that watch this channel and know me and I've met out there, there is many of us that have gone through many things in this country. We all have our own different story to tell, as do many of you that follow me and follow the boy's story. So I think it's very important that anyone who's got a story and who is happy to put it out there and to come on a show like this, to put it out there, because the more the people in the country see what's going on, the more we have a chance of changing it. Because it does need reforming. The justice system needs reforming. The police need reforming. You know, every sector, the appeals, the IPCC, they need reforming, and everything else. So, Marx, can I put it over to you now? Can you let the people know who's watching and commenting? Thank you, everyone, for joining. Ollie, Ricky, two Rickies, Diane, Jesus Jones, Leo, Steve. Thank you for joining us tonight. So, Marx, can you tell us, what's happened with regards to what's going on with your family, your elderly relatives, which is what we'll be talking about here, and when it all started, when you believe it all started?
In 2015, August, I was at work and I was trying to contact my parents, and nobody was answer the phone. And I remember sending my brother to my parents' house to see why there wasn't answering, and their house had been raided basically, and the officers wouldn't show a warrant to my parents, and I've got the CCTV that shows the officers hiding the warrant. And then when I finally get home, I ask if I can see the warrant. They refuse to show me. They just tell me they're looking for a laptop. Accuse my parents, as far as I'm concerned, of burgling a school that was about 7 miles away from where we lived. And then they, in total, over a 9-hour period, the police searched the property, and there was 38 police in total over the 9 hours. It was unbelievable what they did on that day. And considering my parents are both pensioners, being accused of stealing a laptop from a school was unbelievable. And it wasn't, well, they held myself, my mum, my dad, and somebody else, and they held us in total for 20. They held me and the other person for 23 hours, 23 and a half hours, and they held my mum and my dad for 24 hours and 36 minutes. They didn't do anything to me or my mum. They didn't interview us. They wouldn't let us see a solicitor. They wouldn't allow us a phone call. And we was just released at 12:36 in the afternoon on the day after. And upon returning home, we found a copy of the warrant. The warrant didn't even have a laptop on there. They was looking for other items that were stolen from a school. But the main thing was the warrant wasn't signed or dated by a judge. And I've tried getting results and explanation as to why this was allowed to happen, and I've been ignored at every stage. And it's in August this year, it's been 6 years, and every complaint I've ever filed with the West Midlands Police has been ignored and pushed under the table. There's a department within the police force called the Professional Standards Department, and it's their job to investigate police. But what I discovered was most of the people who work in the professional standards department are in relationships with police officers, and they were basically covering up actions of the police. I had meeting after meeting, and I was still getting no results. I was having phone calls off police telling me to stop contacting the police, and I've never been able to get any justice for what they did to my parents. It's been a 6-year battle, and it's still ongoing. I've got to be careful what I say because I've currently got a legal team looking into things for me, and hopefully they can get answers. But what we're trying to do is authenticate certain documentation. Now, during the search, there's a document issued stating no officer to search the property until a police photographer has took a picture of every room. Yet my CCTV shows officer after officer still entering my property, even though no search was supposed to be conducted until the photographer has turned up. Now she turns up at something like 5:30 in the evening, and between midday and 5:30, there's a total of 38 different police officers in and out my property. They had absolutely no remorse. They destroyed my property in that period of time. They made a right mess, and I'm still trying to recover damages to this day. Certain
So,
that did
sorry.
return certain things.
Yeah, sorry to stop you, Marks. Just to highlight that bit, what you said there, that a police photographer has to go into the home and take a picture of every room before the police come in and do what they've got to do on this particular search. And that is so nothing is taken and nothing is brought in, isn't it? There's a
That's
reason
right.
why that is done. Yeah.
That's
So
right.
what they did again was go against procedure and went in before the police photographer came in to the home. So do you feel there would have been a reason that they did that?
There was a reason, but I can't talk about it at the moment.
Right, right.
Otherwise I will put any justice at risk. But everything will come out in due course. I'm currently working on a series of documentaries regarding police corruption, and every document that I've got, there's probably over 2,000 pages. The pile of documents is about 18 inches tall. I'm just starting the process of these documentaries. It's probably going to be a 7 or 8 part, and they'll be put on my website in due course. As I've told you, I've got the web address policecorruption.co.uk.
Yeah.
There's nothing on there yet, but that's going to change over the period of the next 4 weeks, and that's where I will put these documentaries that I make. I've got other web pages that I'll make people aware of in the near future. Again, when those go live, and I'm just hoping to highlight and make people aware how the justice system works in the UK and how it's totally against us, and it's very hard to get justice. Now, just on just an example, just say Peter, for example, killed a police officer, and at the same time, a police officer killed a bystander. Within 6 months, the person who killed the police officer would be investigated, gone to court, and imprisoned within 6 months. The person who got killed by the police would wait, their families would wait years and years and years and years for justice. That's even if they get justice. And that's a kind of system that we're facing, unfortunately. The, the, the procedure is all wrong, and we've got no standing when we require justice. Now, if the police commit a crime against us, it's classed as civil, and we have to fund it ourselves through the civil courts. But if we commit a crime, it's classed as criminal. Even a driving offence, say speeding ticket, is classed as criminal, and they can take us to magistrates court, crown court, and so on, and try and recover money from us in the way of a fine. But when it's the opposite way around, and when we're trying to get justice, it's classed as civil, and it is very hard to get heard and get listened to. All this could have been resolved now,
yeah, sorry, Marx. The whole system is set up like that, isn't it? Like, you know, like we've got a de facto government. Every department is de facto. So again, like I said before, we do not have any representation whatsoever. The victims, it's all inverted. The victims are treated like the criminals, and the criminals are treated like the victims.
Well, that's right. I was in contact with a firm of solicitors last week, and I asked them for a cost on appealing a conviction, and they come up with a price of between £30,000 and £40,000. Now, how can anybody middle class like us afford to pay £30,000, £40,000 to a law firm who are not going to guarantee any success? Yet it's taxpayers' money that funds the police force, and the police force use the taxpayers' money to take us to court. And in lots of cases that I found out, police, when they're taking somebody to court, that person's choice to get legal aid. But what police do is they investigate the balances of people's bank accounts within the family. So if there's 4 members of family in one household, they can add all their finances together, and just say each person has got £5,000. You've gone, Tracy?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, I'm still here.
If each of the 4 family members have got £5,000 each, the police can add all those together, plus the value of all the family members' cars, and just say that figure comes to 30,000. They put that on the official paperwork, so you're denied legal aid, even though only £5,000 of that money is yours, and that's exactly how it works.
Yes, and on the criminal side, the person who is the criminal, they always get legal aid. Now, I have a letter here in our case. I'll just quickly put this in there because this is what we're talking about. Is the criminal in our case was allowed legal aid. We wasn't allowed legal aid to fight back against the injustice, even though we didn't have that amount of money coming into our homes. Now, they claimed that one of the murderers' homes had less than £35,000 coming into here, and that's why they awarded him legal aid. Well, it was a lie. It had 3 members in there that were working full time. One of them was a solicitor. It took it over the bracket of 35,000. Now, when we queried that, or when I queried it, and pointed all that out, they just didn't answer me anymore. And as you know yourself, this is what they do, isn't it? They would ignore when you get them over a barrel, and you can prove to them, no, hang on a minute, because this is this, then they just ignore it.
That's right. At every stage of you trying to get results for any reason, you're just brought to a standstill, and they start to ignore you, and then you'll get threatening letters of harassment, and that's exactly what happened to me. And all I was trying to do was get the attention of the Chief Constable of West Midlands Police, and I had a call from a particular police officer stating, stop trying to contact the Chief Constable. And that's what I was facing all the time.
So what happens is a crime is committed towards you or your family. You
Yep.
then suffer an injustice, and then when you fight back against that injustice, you then get targeted.
You're a target, 100%. You are targeted, and there's not a lot you can do about it. Plus, there's too many people who think the police are innocent, who believe that the police are there to do a good job. But it's not until they put it this way. Lots of people used to say to me, "The police are there for a good reason," and then something's happened, and the police have got involved with them, and they come back to me and they say, "You was right all along. What you're saying to us. We wish we'd have listened." But if I'd have known what I know now back in 2015, things may have gone in a much different fashion. But because we was a non-criminal family, never been took to court, I thought the police was honest in everything they did. But it turned out that they coerced members of my family on 3 occasions, which I can't talk about at the moment. It will come out in due course. But they coerced a member of my family on 3 different occasions. They ended up dragging it through court. None of these stolen items was found by police. We don't even believe that they existed. And based on the warrant not being signed, we believe it was just printed off by the police from their computer. I've tried getting answers. I've lost count now how many letters I've sent, and we've just been ignored every single stage. We've been set back and set back and set back. Another thing that the police use, they use a term called what's that term they use? They use a term which means because you're being investigated, they can't investigate any of your complaints because you could have a negative outcome on your case. I forgot what the word is now, what they use. But as you're filing complaints, they're saying to you, well, there's an ongoing investigation, so we can't investigate your complaint. Even though I'd
Yeah,
sent the police on 2 occasions, I sent the police evidence. First of all, it was on a CD. They said they never received it. Second time round was about 80 printed pages, and I remember taking that directly to Lloyd House, Birmingham myself, and handing it in, and they said they didn't receive it, and that's what I was facing every time. The police, we do need a police force, but they need to do the job properly. Those people who are criminal, obviously, the police treat like criminals, but the police also treat the innocent people like criminals as well. If we had a decent justice system in this country, none of us would have any problems at all. I know lots of police. At my workplace, we used to have visits from the police regular, asking if there was any issues, any trouble on the estate where I worked, and so forth. They used to come. They used to bring biscuits and feed our dogs. They was good officers, and I've come across a few other officers. And again, I was stopped in Asda last week by police for not wearing a face mask, and he ended up having a conversation with me, stating that the numbers are coming down. And then I then repeated what I saw on TV on a news channel, where if somebody is tested positive for COVID and has no symptoms, 3 months later gets hit by a bus and dies, that death is put on the COVID list. And the officer completely agreed with me. He said goodbye, and then we just went our separate ways. There was no confrontation. There was no arguments. There was no negative attitude from him, and there was none from me. And it was a normal civil conversation. But if that had been a certain kind of officer, it could have been a lot different.
yes, because I'm aware of a situation that happened with one of my friends a couple of weeks ago. Well, a week ago, actually, last weekend. who obviously had a completely different constable to you. But going on that, and what people need to learn, and it is debatable. I'm just going to read a couple of things that have been put in the chat. Jesus Jones has said, if people get on and take away money, people won't need the police. It's us creating the police force. Now, I know, since this has happened to me, like Marx, that the police are just a private for-profit corporation.
Yes.
Growing up, I said this, I think, last week when I was talking to my friend Steve on the channel, that he was fed things like the Bill, the professionals, and on the TV that would make it look like, there were these great detectives that went out and solved murders, and abuse to children and things like that. And that is not the case. It's just on TV, it's like that. The reality is the police force are not here to protect us. Since this happened to me, and I know it firsthand, like firsthand with your own story, this is across the board. This is across the country. We're not isolated people. There's thousands of us. It's injustices every day. And they don't do what we was led them believed, that they investigated murders, they, protected children, they helped assist in stopping child abuse. It's the complete opposite. Leo One has put here gangs and pirates. Now, I haven't looked into press gangs. Excuse me, sorry, I've been drinking tea and it's gone down the wrong hole. Now, press gangs, what I'm aware of, and I haven't looked into it, so I'm just going to give a small thing to that. I know Leo One knows more, but press gangs was apparently how the police started. So they were gangs that went around, hit someone with a truncheon, then dragged them and stuck them on a ship. That's as much as I know at the moment. I haven't researched that yet, so I can't say no more other than that is how the police started. They are not, a limited company. And up here as well, I just want to read. Oh, Jesus Jones, you've given a word with about 20 letters in. Compartmentation. I can't say the word. It's there in my head. I just can't get the words out. It's terrible. Sorry, Marx. Let's have a. I think I need my own translator sometimes when I do these shows. So yeah, sounds like a corporation when they say the same thing. Working here is like being in a family. Same thing with the police. How strange. That is it. The police protect themselves because what they are is a gang. And this is what the country needs to wake up to, sadly. The media portrays, put stories in when they know people are waking up to the police. They will create a story in the media to turn your emotion from anger to one of sympathy. Yeah, but it is just a fake story. I've learnt that in the last 3 years myself. And I've seen many things since this. And this is the issue we have. The police are not what you are led to believe they are.
Well, I know somebody else who got their house raided, and all the police seized was a crossbow that was hanging on his wall, and they arrested him and took him to Crown Court in Wolverhampton. And what was said in court and what appeared in the paper was unbelievable. Now, they seized a crossbow and that was it. But in the paper and in the courts, they called it an arsenal of weapons. So when I noticed a story in our local newspaper, I phoned him up and I said, "Have you saw what the newspaper put in the paper about you? That you was caught with an arsenal of weapons?" And he couldn't believe it. And he's since had the crossbow back off the police. Yet they put arsenal of weapons where they found a crossbow. I've got photos where my workplace is. I don't work anymore. I had to pack up work to care for my mum, but I still rent the workplace basically. And it seems to be a hot spot where police come to relax. And I've got photos of a riot van with 2 officers sitting in the driver and passenger seat, fast asleep, obviously tired, pulled up to get an hour. I took a picture of it, but it didn't bother me. Said if they're tired, they're tired. I've got a video of me walking up to a police car, and there's 3 of them in the car, and the officer in the back, he's just watching porn on his phone. I had a laugh and I had a joke with them, and I just carried on my way. I didn't cause no confrontation with them. I leave them to their devices. I wish they'd just leave people to their devices. There's no need for the abuse that does happen. If we go back,
go on. You
go back 6 years ago, I went to check my workplace, and there was a little fire that had been lit in the bushes right by my workplace. And just before I pulled up to my workplace, I'd noticed lots of police outside a local shop. I called the fire brigade because of this fire, and as the fire brigade put it out, I noticed that it looked very suspicious, and I noticed that it was like a pile of cloves with a barrel put over the top, and the barrel had been set on fire. And as the barrel melted, it basically preserved the cloves that they was trying to burn. Anyway, the police came out, and I said, "Look, something's happened around the corner because there's all police there. Is this anything to do with you?" And the police abused me. They said, "Stop wasting our fucking time." Anyway, the fire brigade finished putting it out. The day after, CID came to me, and they said, "You reported a fire?" I said, "Yeah." And they asked me to take them to it. I took them to it, and the officers lifted up this melted drum, and underneath it was preserved cloves. And they are cloves that somebody was wearing when they stabbed the shopkeeper, I think 18 times. They stabbed him 18 times. They took the cloves off, dumped them by my workplace, tried to set them on fire, and then hoping not to get caught. But these cloves managed to locate and convict the person who stabbed this man 18 times. Yet, to start with, the police was abusing me. But it turned out to be the only evidence I had to convict somebody of attempted murder. That was never my intentions. It was just, I didn't know what had happened at the shop. I just thought it very strange. If I hadn't got there and the fire would have spread, it could have took all my buildings out and all the trees that surround my building with it. So I had no option but to call the fire brigade.
That's absolutely terrible. And like Ricky is saying here, the aim is to escalate every situation into arrest. They are, in fact, the criminals. And that is exactly what they are. They are the criminals. And as I said earlier, they are a gang that protect each other. You know, obviously, I know a lot of your story that you can't explain to the people tonight, and quite rightly so. You need to put it out there when you can put it out there, you know. But I'm obviously aware of what a lot of what's gone on within you know, to your parents and so on. And you know, although your case is different to mine, it's still absolutely disgusting and shouldn't be allowed, and it is being allowed. It is, you know. And there's many of your families, just like there's many Josh, Harry and Georges and everything else. And Jesus put, yeah, the policeman and woman, and I'm glad you use man and woman, Jesus, are under this big time. The fact with the police is they actually have no authority at all to do what they do, but they fraudulently, and it is fraudulently, convince you that they have this authority, and they have none. You know, once you know who you are and how to stand, you know, if a police constable approached you and you said to that police constable, "Show me that you have personal authority over me," yeah, because we
Yep.
are living in a world of trust and commerce. That's what the legal system is, and commerce is business, and everything is about fines and enforcements. Money. It's not about justice. The justice system has been corrupt. It's subject to status. Yeah. And that's why we have no representation in us, because they know we don't have the money to fight their system. But that is what it's about. It's trust and commerce. It is not what is lawful. There is a huge difference, and they have constructed fraud for over hundreds of years to our ancestors and way back for a very long time. And they know people are becoming aware of what they're doing, and that's why it's very important, you know. And I thank you, Marx, for doing this tonight, coming on here and just telling us as much as your story as you can. And I know personally that it runs deeper, and so on. Go on.
It does run very deep, and the documentaries that I'm going to be making will highlight everything. And people be able to see the truth. Then now, if you can imagine, I've waited so long for the police to put their hands up and say, yeah, we did wrong, and put things right, even just changing their system, then I wouldn't be here talking to you now. I'd be happy knowing that they'd admitted what they did was wrong, and that they attempted to put things right and train officers to treat people in a better manner. Well, the only reason I'm doing what I'm doing now is because I've been ignored at every single stage since 2015.
Wow. That's excellent. Claire is asking how many cases are there of this revolting offence. I know of 3. I couldn't put a figure on it, Claire. I really couldn't. And Awaken World has said something very interesting, and something I also believe, the effect of trauma too. And this is what they do. They carry on this trauma. And going back to you, Marx, as I just said, I know, a bit more of your case than what you can put out to me. Carried on with the trauma. After that first criminal offence, what was done to your family carried on with trauma after that. The same of what they've attempted to do to me and my family and the other families. It's been trauma the whole way through.
That's right. I've suffered to a certain degree myself. It's when you realise you can't get any justice, it starts building upon you. But it just made me a stronger person. It did make me a stronger person. I've got a legal team now who are looking into things for me at a very reasonable cost. Nothing compared to the 30, 40 grand that other legal companies wanted. And I'm just going to see how things go. All I've ever wanted from the West Midlands Police is an apology for what they've done. But that never happened. We was treated like shit. But I've come across lots of police officers who have had respect and do respect the public. I had one knock on my door, and she had a badge, like a CID, and she mentioned a certain officer's name who was investigating us, and she told me, she said, she cannot be trusted. She's hated throughout our office, and I could not believe this. She was knocking on my door to give me this information, and it was shocking. And it turned out she was 100% correct. This one officer was pure evil. Whenever we was in court, she was the devil, and I can't explain how nasty one person could be, and this woman defined nasty, unfortunately. Her name will come out in due course as well. I was just lost for words. How the things she did that affected my family, and I was lost for words, 100%. And I couldn't I was sitting down constantly trying to think to myself how one individual had got a grudge against a family she didn't even know. We got no criminal background, but she didn't know us, and I couldn't understand why she was the way she was. But when when one of her colleagues knocked on my door, she said she's the same as everybody. And I appreciate this woman coming to my house. It was a shock that her knocked on my door. But at the time, I didn't believe it until it started to happen to me. And then I don't know the person's name who knocked on my door, but I wasn't going to call up to chat to her and try and find out who she was, because she tried to give me a pre-warning, basically. I had one night, it was a Friday, I think it was a Friday night, I went and put a black bag in my bin outside, and my bin was full, and they've got to be collected on the Monday. And on the Sunday night, I go to put my bins out, and the bin's empty. And when I look back on my CCTV, it's what looks like a plainclothes police come and take all the bags out of my bin. I couldn't understand why they did it. Obviously, they did me a favour. They took my rubbish for me. So
It's because they know you're questioning, Marx. That's why. Yeah.
Yep.
And you're not staying silent against the crimes that were committed towards your families. And yes, yes, like Awaken World says is here, it's also gaslighting. That is what it is. So it's to make you think. You knew what happened to that because you had CCTV, so you could look back at it. But if you didn't have CCTV, that is to confuse you. Hang on a moment, I did put rubbish out, didn't I? I must have put rubbish out, but where's it gone? Yeah. So that is all part of the form of gaslighting. Someone is mentioning just going up because I know we've got to finish soon, Marks, because you've got. So I'm just gonna read because it's important. Someone called Doctor. Let me find it. Sorry, everyone. I'm just scrolling up to find this. Yeah, Doctor. Or DJ Cole Million, he's talking about lawyers and the common laws. Well, for example, from 1972, lawyers were not trained in common law. They are trained in legal, which is a blanket for the law. That's what the legal system is. They are hiding the law. They are hiding who you are. And the lawyers are only, it's funny, isn't it? You know, my picture is going all distorted now on YouTube. So they are hiding what the law is, and that's what the legal realm is. And that is all from 1972 onwards. And it's not just law, is case law, as well as common law rights. But what you have is unalienable, and some say inalienable rights that you were born with. And it's knowing what they are, what your rights are, and who you are, and how they change jurisdiction is the solution to what is going on. And that's what they don't want people to know. Because that is how, in this legal realm, like I said 5 minutes ago, is about trust and commerce, and it's about business. So it's not just learning the common law, it's learning the common law is great because you can use case law. So if you can find case to help you, but along with that, you need to know who you are. And there's so many groups out there, so many stage videos that are just showing you part of it, and then they are throwing in legal terminology in that. So you are mixing two jurisdictions and you can't do that. Yeah. So I just wanted to add that to what is being written in the chat.
Well, that's what more
Now,
you still there, Tracy?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just listening to you.
Oh, the two lawyers who are currently working for me, they're just researching case law regarding what I've told them up to now.
Sorry, I didn't hear that
Facebook,
last bit. My end froze.
It's okay. The two lawyers who are working for me at the moment, they're researching all the case law around my case, basically, at the moment. So I'm just hoping to get some good results, basically, and then we'll go from there.
Yes.
But I'll keep everybody. I'll keep you updated on the progress, and we can see what happens along the way. I'm not expecting any miracle.
And no, I know it's very, very difficult. Said before, with injustice, and Marx has to go now, and I appreciate you coming on tonight. And when you have got further down the line, Marx, you know, you can come back on and you can inform everyone the depth that they went to with regards to your family when you're ready and able to do that. So just before we go, is there one last thing you'd like to say, Marx? And also what that website to look out for is once you upload stuff to it. If you could repeat that again, please.
It's policecorruption.co.uk. It's not there to just condemn police. I'll also put the stories on there of the good work that they do, because they do some good work. It's not everybody who does receive the bad end of the police. There are some good ones there. I'm not sticking up for them, but I've seen both sides of the game, if you understand what I mean. I've seen both sides of it, and I've seen the good and I've seen the bad. So the website is going to be quite neutral. I appreciate people commenting on it. I know everybody's got their own opinion, and they can happily add comments to the videos. I don't hold anybody, hold anything against anybody in that respect, and I'll let you know once it's live, and then we can put the web address out there.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. And thank you everyone for joining and your comments and everything else. I'll just say Jesus Jones says solicitors are all Satanists. I totally agree, their oath isn't to us, it's to the Law Society. And if you want to look into the word solicitors, solicit. That's what they do. So they'll do anything for money, won't they? Yeah. So thank you again, Mark, for being on tonight. I understand you have to go now. Thank you to everyone joining, commenting and joining and following. I'm very humbled. I'm very grateful that you come on and comment and do jump on these videos. Mark, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.